So it's almost unbelievable, isn't it?
What's that?
To think that a major health crisis, like, the SARS outbreak in China back in 2003.
Yeah, I remember that period. Scary time.
Exactly. And that it could have been a real turning point, like the unexpected spark that just ignited this massive e-commerce world we see today.
Right. It's like digging into the origins of modern Chinese digital life.
Yeah, tracing the DNA right back to that single event.
Yeah.
So, okay, for this deep dive, our mission really is to understand how SARS actually created the conditions for giants like Alibaba and JD.com.
To not just pop up, but to really take over.
Yes. And crucially, we want to pull out some insights, things you can maybe apply when we face these big societal shifts.
Absolutely. Because, there were other attempts at e-commerce in China before them.
Right. I saw some names in the sources, like 8848.com.
Yeah, and even eBay tried with Yikuang, but they didn't quite stick.
So Alibaba and JD.com became the big players.
They did. And the really fascinating question is why? What was their, secret sauce? What did they figure out that the others didn't?
Well, the main thing that jumps out, I think, from what we read, is that it wasn't just random luck.
No, definitely not.
It was a really direct and pretty agile response to a very immediate need. Like, how do people get stuff when leaving the house suddenly feels dangerous?
Exactly. That was the core problem during SARS. And it's kind of wild to see the parallels with what we've all experienced more recently, right?
Totally. That explosion into home delivery for, well, everything.
And restaurants suddenly acting like little grocery stores selling prepackaged meals.
Yeah, and all the contactless services becoming normal.
So by looking back at how e-commerce got its big break during SARS, you get this fresh perspective on these newer shifts.
And maybe even spot some, new opportunities bubbling up now from what people need and what tech can do.
Right. So, okay, let's really get into the catalyst then. SARS in China, 2003.
Yeah. So the sources say maybe the total number of infections wasn't as huge as, say, the recent pandemic.
But the death rate was high, and it was new. That created a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty.
And the result? People just stopped going out in cities. Foot traffic plummeted.
And it's really striking when you look at the timeline. SARS peaked, March to June 2003?
Yeah, and the last patient was out by August.
But travel didn't fully bounce back until May 2004, almost a whole year later.
Wow. That really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Compared to some of the early predictions for quick recoveries we heard more recently.
It does. These crises can have a really long shadow, affecting how people behave, the economy, for much longer than you'd think.
Absolutely. And we are seeing similar things now, or at least things accelerated by recent events, like this new retail idea.
Like Alibaba's Hema Fresh stores.
Exactly. That blend of online ordering, physical stores, super fast delivery.
Yeah.
It really got a boost from SARS, and it's just everywhere now.
And the retailization of restaurants you mentioned, selling meal kits, focusing on delivery, again, not totally brand new, but the adoption just went through the roof.
Right. And our sources talk about this intense competition now. You've got traditional shops, these new hybrid platforms, even restaurants.
All kind of fighting for that slice of the eating at home pie.
Yeah. And if you zoom out, that initial push towards e-commerce, driven by SARS necessity, it's led to some really fundamental lifestyle shifts, hasn't it?
For sure. Think about it. Maybe less need for constant physical shopping trips.
Which could ripple out to industries like, I don't know, cars. Yeah. Less driving. Maybe even travel long term.
Could be. While boosting others, like home furnishings, as people spend more time and money on their living spaces.
Okay, let's zoom in on Alibaba's Taobao then. So before SARS, Alibaba was mostly B2B, right?
Yeah, Alibaba.com. Connecting Chinese factories with buyers overseas. That was their main thing.
But Jack Ma, the founder, he'd apparently been eyeing the consumer market for a bit.
He had. And the timing with SARS, well, it turned out to be, let's say, incredibly opportune.
So Taobao's initial concept, it wasn't like trying to be an online department store.
No, not really. It was more like a platform, connecting individual buyers and sellers, almost like a digital flea market.
Okay, like peer-to-peer.
Exactly. Now, it evolved fast, bringing in proper shops and businesses later. But that initial C2C focus was kind of key.
But launching it back then, that couldn't have been easy.
Oh, definitely not. Internet access was mostly slow dial-up?
Yeah, painful. And there were already some other e-commerce sites trying, even if they weren't doing great.
Plus, the big one looming was eBay entering the Chinese market, so pressure was on.
Right. And the story of how Taobao actually got built during the outbreak is pretty wild, almost like a spy movie.
Huh. Sort of. So February 2003, Jack Ma pulls aside an engineer, Kai Jingxian, tells him secret project needs to be fast. That project was Taobao.
Just like that.
Pretty much. Then in April, 6 more people get recruited for the Taobao team. Same secrecy, working away from the main Alibaba offices.
Kept separate. Why?
Well, this is where it gets crazy. In May 2003, right as they're pushing to launch, an Alibaba employee actually tests positive for SARS.
Oh, wow. So the whole company.
Most of the company got sent home for like 12 days, mandatory work from home,
Except.
except the secret Taobao team.
Exactly. They were already isolated, so they just kept working. And you have to imagine what remote work meant back then. Probably
Yeah.
pretty basic.
I bet. No Zoom calls and high-speed fiber.
Definitely not. And then Taobao launches, May 2003.
And as the sources stress, this timing was just perfect. It landed right when people were most hesitant to go out to interact physically.
Yeah, it was like they delivered the exact solution people desperately needed, right when they needed it most. Incredible timing.
Okay, so that's Alibaba's story. Now let's switch gears to JD.com. Very different starting point, wasn't it? Totally different. JD.com actually grew out of physical brick-and-mortar stores. They started selling CDRs, other media.
And the founder's story, Lu Qingdong, there's quite something, too.
It really is. Our sources mention he came from a pretty poor rural background, super driven though.
Excelled in school, wanted to be a local official to help fight poverty.
Yeah, but faced huge financial hurdles at university in Beijing, worked tons of jobs. There's that detail about sewing his living money into his underwear.
Yeah, and bringing like 76 boiled eggs to survive, that's intense determination.
Absolutely. Shows incredible resilience. And he had some early business experience too, right? A restaurant.
Yeah, apparently it failed, but he learned some crucial lessons.
About trust, about treating employees fairly. Seems like that was a big takeaway for him.
Then he worked at a Japanese company, learned more about trusting staff, ethical work.
Right. And then 1998, he starts Jingdong Multimedia, physical stores in Beijing's tech district, Zhangguankun.
Selling media. And it did really well, didn't it?
Hugely well. By 2001, he had, 12 stores? Biggest seller of optical discs in China. He'd made it in the physical retail world.
And then SARS hits.
Yep. Same catalyst, different impact. For him, the collapsing foot traffic was an existential threat to his growing chain of stores.
So what did he do?
He started asking his staff, how are people shopping now if they're not coming here? And he heard about this, very early trend of people ordering things through online bulletin boards, BBS system.
Like forums. People were ordering stuff on forums.
Kind of. Super basic. So he tried it, started posting his store's info on these forums.
And it worked.
Surprisingly, yeah. He got his first online orders, often from people who already knew his stores were legit, sold genuine stuff. That trust was key.
So it evolved from just posting info to actually taking orders online.
Then delivering the goods himself or having staff do it and collecting cash in person. Very hands-on.
Wow. So that was the seed.
That was the seed, and it led to the official launch of the Jingdong Multimedia online store in 2004. Full entry into e-commerce.
And then later that year, he made that massive decision.
The really big one. Closing all the physical stores, going purely online.
Even though they were successful.
Yeah.
That must have been tough.
Extremely tough. Apparently there was a lot of pushback internally, but he felt he needed to prepare for future disruptions, protect the business, protect his employees. It was a huge gamble.
So fascinating. Two totally different models emerged from the same crisis.
Yeah.
Alibaba, the platform connecting everyone, like an eBay or a Rakuten.
Right. And JD.com. The direct retailer, controlling everything from the warehouse to the delivery van. More like an Amazon model.
Yet both succeeded massively. What were the common threads then?
Well, speed seems crucial for both. Speed of execution, making big decisions quickly when the crisis hit.
Decisiveness, yeah. And we have to remember, many other businesses didn't make it through that period, right?
Oh, absolutely. The risk was enormous. Their ability to adapt effectively really stands out.
And the sources also mention how some other big Chinese tech players, like Baidu and Tencent, they were kind of slow off the mark with e-commerce during SARS.
Yeah, surprisingly so. They tried later. Tencent had PaiPai.com. Baidu had Yua.
But they didn't really take off.
Nope. Eventually shut down. It suggests that initial window during the crisis was really important.
Which brings us back to that idea of solving real problems, doesn't it?
Exactly. Successful businesses, especially somewhere like China, often tap into a genuine societal need, a pain point. SARS created very clear pain points.
Making it easier for these new models to get traction.
Right. And you see it later, too, like with Pinduoduo successfully targeting lower income groups in smaller cities, addressing a different set of needs.
So the core message really holds up. The massive growth of e-commerce in China, led by Alibaba and JD, wasn't just tech evolving. It was a direct result of the challenges and opportunity thrown up by SARS.
Yeah, to sum it up, SARS was this totally unexpected accelerator for e-commerce adoption in China. It's just a powerful example of how big disruptions can weirdly pave the way for innovation.
Right, forcing new business models that meet fundamental needs. And we saw Alibaba and JD take these very different paths.
But both ultimately finding huge success in that changed world.
And for you listening, hopefully understanding this history gives you useful lens, for looking at the digital world today and the forces shaping how we all behave, especially when things get uncertain.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe, something for you to chew on. What might be the unexpected long-term consequences of other big global events we're living through now?
Yeah, like what seemingly temporary changes today.
Might actually become permanent parts of how we live, how our economies work in the future. What new e-commerces, broadly speaking, are maybe being born right now out of today's challenges?